So we're talking about the power of the legions in the Horus Heresy today.
Okay.
So we've got these categories. Ryan, you set these up. Can you walk us through like what does OP mean?
Okay, so we have overpowered, usual OP stuff. In video games, it might be a special gun. In tabletop, it might be a great unit or undercosted unit.
Specific example in Doom, the BFG.
There you go. We have contenders. So these would be kind of the heirs to the overpowered throne, if you will. They're people who are kind of nipping on the heels of just under a really high-performing or kind of overpowered list. We have the average list, which is basically, anybody kind of coming to play. They're bringing somewhat competitive stuff. They might not have all the options, but, they might not have the best options either. We have the casual list. These are, oftentimes lists like what you might call a fluff bunny list or something that's built specifically around a theme, or, some kind of, special list that you're bringing for, I guess, thematic reasons. And then we have the dumpster fire, and those are, armies or units that tend to fall far below kind of average. They're either overcosted, they're not effective. They can be just bad units. Mm-hmm. You're not going to see them too often on the tabletop. People tend to kind of gravitate towards, the better armies and the better units.
All right, so we're going to start off with Imperial Fists to start off with.
All right.
These guys are OP. These guys are fucking bananas.
You really think IF is that OP?
So...
they got some shit, but...
Yeah, I actually kind of had them under contenders because on one hand, they are really, really good as Stone Gauntlet in that Rite of War. But besides that,
They're hilariously broken in Stone Gauntlet.
Right.
They're merely better than every other legion outside of Stone Gauntlet.
Okay, so you're saying OP then.
Like, all right, they don't have a bad unit. Like, they just don't.
Fair.
Their equipment rocks. Their arguably worst unit is a weapon skill 5 melee unit. They have 2 ways to take his troops.
Okay.
They have the best first captain. They have a top 5 Primarch. They have also one of the best Legion traits because, by the way, my army is just going to hit on 2s now, is a pretty good ability.
Okay. I could see, that's a lot of bolter spam. And if you do set your army up to utilize bolters or, I guess, auto weapons,
and they can charge an eye because that's their advanced reaction is I charge you.
Well,
you decided to get close to my gun line, so what if I surprise power axe you right now?
Oh, okay.
I would say some of the cons on them that I remember off the top of my head are that everything is autocannons. Like their weapon of choice is to give you this
bolters and autocannons,
extra special, or like an assault cannon, right? Like they get more assault cannons
than
everybody else.
They get the options to take assault cannons, which not every legion does.
Yeah, the Illustris.
Yeah, Iliastus assault cannon, which is the 40k assault cannon.
Right.
Assault cannons are auto weapons, so they hit on 2s with them. They have... So it's hit on 2s, they're strength 6, they wound on 2s against Marines. They're rending 6. I think the carries is rending 5.
Yeah.
But they can mount them as fist guns to dreadnoughts,
which is
incredible. It's
incredible if your opponent is a legion.
The thing that
it's almost useless if your opponent isn't legion.
Well, I think that the cool thing about those guns though is that they do have the rending ability, which puts them kind of in that upper tier. You can go fishing for
fish for 6s.
And autocannons are one of the 2 things you want to equip a heavy support squad with.
Of course.
They're one of the few legions that can field BS5 Predator squadrons.
Right.
Because every gun on a Predator is an auto weapon or a bolt weapon.
And also any return fire is going to be egregious.
And they have the best tactical squads because the tactical squads hit on 2s. Again, can't emphasize enough.
I get that, but how's their Primarch rank?
Pretty
5.
good.
Top 5 Primarchs?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they're not. Dorn is not a martial specialist.
I know he has the top rank mustache. I don't know about the rest of it.
Does not have a mustache.
Doesn't have a mustache in the official model,
which is a big miss when we get new Dorn.
Giant oversight, G-Dub.
If we're gonna get new Horus, we need to get new Dorn. New Dorn should have a mustache.
That would be amazing. It'd be the exact same model, but just with the mustache.
Power stash. Got it. All right, we'll move Imperial Fists up to OP.
What's the difference?
They do definitely have a Rite of War that allows them to be, head and shoulders above other legions, impossibly hard to kill.
Unkillable, I would say.
Damn near unkillable.
And if you take that away, their other two Rite of Wars are still like
still great,
flatly better than what.
And all of their warlord traits are phenomenal.
Yeah, like Imperial Fists are the only army I can say like I don't think you can build a bad army if it's Imperial Fists.
Okay,
you have to work real hard at it.
So let's talk the traitor poster boys. We're gonna talk about the Sons of Horus.
Oh, yeah.
I'm much more cold on the Sons of Horus. I think
me too. I'd put them in as average.
Super OP Primarch, and then the rest of that.
They do win Primarch Thunderdome. Like
sure,
even regular Horus is a
flat out Thunderdome champion.
No one can see you.
Is it this camera?
Horus is really powerful, even in the non-powered version. He slices, he dices, he does everything you want a Primarch to do.
Right.
Justarin Terminators are really solid. Not the best Legion Terminators, but they have a really strong variety of options. Sons of Horus have an amazing selection of named characters, but I think they're let down by the fact that their Legion-specific units are not like tops. Like it's not like, oh, this is like the thing that you're taking these dudes for. Like they're all right. The Reaving Rite of War is okay. Mm-hmm. They don't have that thing where I'm like, oh, this is busted.
Yeah.
Now that said, their Legion trait is like real tough against a lot of armies, and it gives them a significant amount of play with the amount of melee that you're going to see in an average a game of Horus Heresy. That -1 strength is a real big deal.
Yeah, I mean that hurts. That hurts everything that it comes near. So
it makes their dreadnoughts really terrifying, which is a running theme. Legions that tend to run dreadnoughts real good are going to be on the upper end, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say Sons of Horus, really great selection, but they're lacking that kind of like big, oh god, I'm really scared of this thing. Except Horus. Horus is a monster.
Horus is a monster. I mean, even his general like unascended version is very good. His ascended version, it puts him into like the bananas range. But he's so expensive, you're rarely going to see him in. Like,
you'll only see big Horus at 4,000 point games.
Isn't the character with the broken back like they're? Oh god, what is the character?
Malagur's
Twisted. Yeah, isn't he great? And he's got a broken back. I mean, that's how.
I mean, he's a souped up herald. So heralds are generically good. Having a named herald is pretty good. He's also a psyker, I believe, which is pretty great.
Yeah.
So
depends on how you roll.
Like the named character selection in Sons of Horus does a lot of work for the army as a whole. But I think if you take those out, you're left with a lot of units that are not that scary.
The main thing that I noticed about Sons of Horus is that a lot of their warlord traits, a lot of their Rite of Wars, and a lot of their units themselves don't have a lot of synergy between them.
Yeah.
You get all these great rights of war, but then you don't really have the units to fill them out with.
Yeah. Yeah.
That can really take advantage, like some other
that unit they got in the Exemplary Battles PDF is pretty good.
Yeah.
So I would suspect as we see
which unit is that?
It's the like them versus Space Wolves Exemplary Battle. I forget the name of it, but it's a pretty solid close range melee unit. It's more interesting to me than most of their other options.
Okay.
But I think as we see like Heresy expand over the course of this year, there's going to be more Sons of Horus stuff that gets added, and that's where we're going to see this listing will definitely change.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
Let's do Raven Guard.
Raven Guard.
Dumpster fire.
Not even. I would put them.
I should say their player base is in a dumpster fire because you never see them show.
I would put them. Raven Guard are invisible, so that's just in character.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, they're under the cloaks.
We hide from our opponents.
I would put them at like upper end of average, low end of contenders.
Okay.
Infiltrating your entire army is real good.
Just ask the Alpha Legion.
They have they're one of the few legions that can ignore night fighting, which is real good.
That is strong.
Their Exemplary Battles unit, the Deliverers, it's Exemplary Battles unit, is one of the best Terminator units in the game because they will win other Terminator fights. Okay. And they're not instant killed by Contemptors.
The thing that really turns me off about Raven Guard, and I mean, seeing kind of the struggles, they don't have a really dynamic or great centerpiece unit to go around. I mean, Korax is okay, but he gets trashed by many other
It's
Primarchs.
true. They get consistently shit on by the fabrication worlds of Forge World itself. Like, there are not very many special units. Like, they're the last Mark 6 upgrade, because guess what? It's a beaky helmet.
Right.
Well, also, they got Mark 6 upgrades in, like, 2012.
Because it's a beaky helmet.
Right. But also, you know, they don't have a lot of, like, weapon skill 5 units can go toe-to-toe with some of the other bigger, scary units out there.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing that hurts them is you can't really do a Primarch Death Star with them because the Dark Fury unit is really good at punching down and really bad at punching up.
If we saw more Mechanicum, if we saw more Sisters, we saw more, you know, Solar Auxilia, I'd say that they'd be much further up there. But I just... Like, as far as power level against legions or
I would actually
they're
say
not.
they are as powerful as the legion you're fighting, how many characters they're running, because they can run a lot of snipers.
Okay.
The Mor Dathan is a genuinely terrifying unit.
Sure, yeah.
Because it can throw out like 40 rending 4 shots on the first turn. They have infiltrate and scout, so you can't dodge it. They go first and delete a unit.
Yeah, I mean, same with their...
But after that initial shock and awe...
Yeah.
Same with their heavy units, their heavy support squadrons. You can drop a Melta very, very close to enemy line and just, like, obliterate a unit. And
infiltrating multi-meltas are very good.
Right.
The army-wide shrouded...
Multi-meltas are just very good. Add infiltrate to them.
The army-wide shrouded works really well with, like, land speeders and stuff.
Okay.
They're certainly not, I would put in the, like... super strong category. There's a lot of finesse, and you're not going to be able to run like a Raven Guard armored spearhead is not going to accomplish a whole lot.
You can't really do a Fury of the Ancients very easy either.
Yeah.
You know, they can of course do it. They're just not going to be able to take advantage of it like other legions.
Yeah.
So
I'd agree. I'd be okay with average, but to me they're like top of average.
Top of average. Okay. What are we feeling? Emperor's Children, Alpha Legion.
Dan hasn't made a...
For me, let's see. The Legions I actually know well. Besides Dark Angels.
Let's do Dark Angels.
You want to get to Dark Angels?
Let's do Dark Angels.
They're definitely OP.
I'm going to put them as OP.
They're the only army, they're the only Legion with 6 Rite of Wars, because you got 6 of the Hexagrammaton wings.
Right. The only Legion where the Primarch fulfills all the requirements for the Rite of War, which is bullshit.
That's true. The fact that he's basically like all at once. Like, I mean, all right, so let's take Lion out. All right, because Lion is easily in like top 3 Primarchs.
Okay.
Lion is in top 2.
I mean,
probably top 2.
The only thing he's really going to get
Martial
trounced
Primarchs.
is a juiced. I mean, it's a dogfight between him and Layman, and Juice Taurus will probably dunk on him all day long, but Juice Taurus will dunk on everything. So, but thereabouts.
I mean, okay. I think take out Lion, you still have Corswain. Corswain is Sigismund level, like he's
very good.
The best non-Primarch named character.
I still think Sigismund will take him, but it would be a tie.
That's a close fight, but if you are bringing anybody who is not Sigismund or a Primarch and you have Corswain will stab them until they're dead.
Well, they do have the Sisters of Silence now that can make those weapon skills 1.
But I think Corswain is really good. Their units are super strong. They have weird stuff like the Exindio Battle Automata,
which is a PDF unit. I mean, like the not that I'm trying to discount it, but it's not. It's, you know, they have the most probably top 3 kit bashing potentials for an army, which I don't know if that goes into this list, but it gets into it.
I mean, it's a unit with rules, so it gets in here.
They have the Interrupters.
The Interrupters are duly busted.
Very good.
The Knights Cenobium
are the killiest Terminators outside of the Justarian.
No, I think they're the best.
Or the Fulminators.
They're the best.
They're the best Terminators in the game.
With the instant death swords, like...
Well, I mean, they're
rending murderous on a unit.
Exactly.
On 5s?
I think they're strength 6 and weapon skill
they're the Praetor is weapon skill 6. The base are weapon skill 5.
Yeah, they're the only guys with a weapon skill 6 sergeant.
Yeah, they have a weapon skill 6 sergeant with a grenade harness and a plasma flamer attached to his wrist. So if you charge them, you have to worry about breaching wounds before they get to you with the instant death.
So what you're saying is pretty spicy.
The Cenobium are dumb spicy.
Okay.
The Interrupters are dumb spicy. The rest of the army is just a legion. Like they're
the
cool
wings,
with the swords.
The wings are really strong.
Yeah, they are.
The fact that you can like just take. We brought this up with Imperial Fists. I think armies that get BS5 tactical squads are pretty good.
Right.
Because that means you
win.
win.
The Stormwing. Yeah, if you run the Stormwing, but you have to. So the thing to be confused about is like, and what I think divides them as from the other legions in a weird way is you only get these buffs when you take the wing and you take the Rite of War.
Right, but you can.
Whereas like the Imperial
Fists
just get that auto gun buff no matter what.
Well, the wing is separate from the Rite of War.
I mean, there's definitely stronger Rites of War than others.
The Stormwing rule, you have to have a Stormwing model. The Rite of Wars dictate which wing you take. Like if you take the Eschaton Imperative, every unit in has to be Dreadwing.
But you could also just not take the Rite of War and then
just take the wing.
Sure, but then you can't take Interrupters as troops with their Proteus Land Raiders.
Right. I mean, there's of course benefits to taking them.
Right.
Or you don't get to jack the whole entire table up.
Like Imperial Fists, there's so many ways to build the army. There's not really a bad way to do it.
I would even argue they're easily the most Swiss Army knife army that you can play.
Yeah, you always.
If you want to play all jet bikes, DA's got you.
Yeah,
you want to play all tanks,
you can play a whole
DA's
lot of different styles with them because they have good Rites of War for like all of it.
Yeah, no, they do.
Armor,
the
cavalry,
Deathwing Rite of War is pretty lame because you're never going to win because the VP condition that they tack on is basically impossible to get. So you're always going to lose, but unless you table them first, and even then you might still not pull it off. But whatever.
They get a lot of mileage out of like Pride of the Legion. Pride of the Legion Dark Angels is fucking terrifying.
Yeah. Because you get to take Cenobium.
Yeah,
right.
Like
as troops,
all the good stuff.
They're a legion that to me says like you can't go wrong. You could literally. I feel like Imperial Fists and Dark Angels are two legions where you take the Age of Darkness box, you build literally whatever the shit you want out of that box, and it's good.
I mean, their special units, Inner Circle Knight Cenobium. You have
you have the greatest fluff sword in the game.
Deathwing Companions.
Marduk's sword is the greatest like fluff sword in the game. It's just a power sword. You have to swing last with it, but it gives you +5 strength. I don't think there's any other sword in the game that gives a +5 to strength.
No. There's not. Marduk, obviously great. And the list goes on as far as what you can take. I think they're a great legion. Hence the OP.
Yeah.
What else? Everybody claims you're a traitor.
Let's you know what? Let's go Ultramarines. Let's get spicy. Right. They are.
I put them in contenders.
I would put them in average.
Really?
They get one Rite of War that mostly sucks.
Okay.
Their Legion trait is built around shooting.
Yeah.
2-3 of their best units are melee.
Mm-hmm.
The Storm Squad, the Praetorian Breachers, and the Suzerains are all like dudes you want to eat into melee that don't get anything from the Legion trait.
Right.
Their Primarch is fine. Like he's very like Guilliman is the most 5 out of 10 Primarch. I feel like he's not bad, but he doesn't do anything that's super great.
Okay.
And like they have 2 incredibly dope units in the Fulmentaris and the Suzerains.
The only like really kind of achievable like Terminators that have like a brutal missile.
Well, the Fulmentaris Terminators are flat out probably the most OP Terminator in the game. As far as like ranged combat goes and the fact that you get
at range, I would say I would put them at a tier with like the Cenobium where they're very dominant at their thing.
Right.
And
maybe Tyrant Siege Terminators, but they don't have the brutal.
Siege Terminators can't fire out a line of sight.
Mm. Yeah, the Fulmentaris are bust. Like they're just kind of
and they're definitely way too cheap. Like right now, I think that's their big thing.
Not only they're OP, they're cheaper than any other OP model you can put on the board.
I'd argue Custodian Guards, but
we'll get to that in part 2.
Right, yeah, that's part 2. But I would say like as an Ultramarines player, as a guy who's been playing them for a long time, like they require a significant amount of skill if you want to run the Rite of War and you want to run Guilliman.
Okay.
The Warlord traits they have, the best one is the Traitor one.
Okay.
And if you run that, you can't run any of their named characters.
Yeah.
And they're just a really weirdly done Legion that wants to shoot because that's their Legion trait and their advanced reaction, but most of their good units are melee.
Okay.
Now that gives them a flexibility that I think other legions lack. Like they really can be like, I'm going to shoot you with these brutal 2 missiles. If you decide to get close to my like Heidi Terminators, here's a bunch of add initiative AP2 weapon skill 5 melee who also have a 4-up invuln and a 2-up armor save. They're just going to like yeet into you and murder whatever they touch.
Correct.
Which is good. You can build a good Ultramarines list. I'm not trying to say you can't, but when I think about like Fists and Dark Angels, where they have great options all of the time, Ultramarines do have options that are less good.
I would say I tend to agree with you on that. I think the one thing that I really do like about Ultramarines is that they have the Legion Rite of War that makes a lot of stuff really good. I mean, just being able to fire a bunch of units back at something is pretty scary.
Yeah, I mean, and the way that you can like trick the Legion trait with it, the way that you can fire with any unit that can see the unit that they're being shot at, it's really good.
It's getting into that Mechanicum thing. So, anyways, what do we got next?
Let's
find a contender.
A contender? White Scars.
I think White Scars. I always put them as OP.
You think they're OP?
I think
I would
OP.
put them as contender because there's like one list that's really fucking broken.
Okay.
And it's not anything in the Age of Darkness box.
True. I would say that they are kind of a complicated list right now just because getting all the pieces is super expensive.
Some of it doesn't exist. Like Jagatai on bike is a top 1 Primarch in my opinion. But you really do want him for the all bike list.
You do. I mean, that all bike list when it eventually comes out in plastic is going to be so scary. I think
you don't. I have fought this list. I have fought the resin version.
Oof.
It is.
First, I was scared of the man's purchasing power. Then I was scared of his army.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's literally like, what do you do against a bunch of like strength 10, AP 2, brutal 4 that's hitting at like initiative 7? Like, you die. What you do to that is you die.
You die. Yeah.
And there's some less good options. I'm not a huge fan of the Kaizagan speeder.
Okay.
It's a really tough speeder, but it doesn't have a lot of punch. The Terminators are pretty good, but they're not like amazing. Mm-hmm. But the bike list is just another level, and it pulls up. I think the strength of that list pulls them up into contender.
I definitely agree. Seeing a whole bike army, 30, 40 bikes in a 3,000 point list, they all move 15 inches. The
White Scars react says you can't catch them,
right?
Because they move like. They're all skirmish. They're all 3-inch coherency, and they just have to have one dude that you move next to, and then like their entire army just redeploys.
Yeah.
Well, that is a one-time use reaction, right?
True, but I mean, it's so game changing that you're just like all these guys redeploy across the table, and then I'm just
pointing out, it's not like they do it to you every turn.
They only do it once.
They don't need you once.
Trust me, once is more than enough.
Oh, I know. I mean, you see that happen, and you're like, oh well, that was a great game. Yeah.
So as far as special units, they do have access to the Stormseer, which is pretty cool. It's a psychic unit. Jagatai Khan, which is, and of course they have the version
I do miss old Jagatai where he would have the bike, and if you took bike Jagatai and killed it, you would then have to fight on foot Jagatai. That was
really
so good.
He auto survived his bike crash.
Yes, you replace the model with on foot Jagatai. Yeah, it was dope.
Golden Keshik Squadron. Those are the kind of elite. Legion only jet bikes, so those are great too. I mean, the strength 10 charge is pretty gnarly. Ungainly Lance, brutal 3 sudden strike,
hey,
two-handed.
That's a charge that can kill a custode flat out.
It kills Primarchs.
Ask
me how I know.
Jeez.
Do tell.
That was a bad day for Gilliman.
Right. It's a bad day for Korax.
The concept's Power Lance, strength 10, AP 1. Ungainly, Lance, brutal 3, sudden strike 4, two-handed. It is a gnarly unit, and you
hitting it I8, weapon skill 5, just like
it's crazy.
They give up guns in order to kill literally everything.
Right. The Ebon Keshik isn't bad. I like them as well.
They're really good, and I like Chinja. They're the first captain, who's the Terminator dude.
Right.
Really like White Scars have, I think, one of the more fun Terminator lists.
And I think, playing White Scars, you do have kind of the undersung a not so often seen army. So it's cool to bring it out and kind of show it off at these events.
Everybody's always wowed by White Scars on the table for sure.
Mainly because you chose to spend the money, and secondly because you painted that much white.
So let's get a little controversial. Thousand Suns.
Thousand Suns.
Where would you put the Psychic Legion?
I would put them at contender.
I would
if not like quasi OP.
Have you fought the 5 have been vulnerable bubble? Because I have a lot.
That smells of the OP, but it's still my point is that it's like it's a spell you have to cast.
There's no denial.
No, I know there's no denial, but you still have to pass a leadership. There's still a dice roll involved. It's not like it's just an automatic thing.
I mean, the bubble's good, and I'm thinking that
I'm not saying it's not mostly certain, Monj. I'm just saying it's
a leadership 9 check, homie.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. I mean, it's not going to fail too often, but it does have
next
a chance
to some
to
Night
fail.
Lords,
and if they miscast, they just like get the bonus and just kill like a dude or two. Like it's fine. Everything's okay over in Thousand Sunland. The Sekhmet Terminators are really good.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen the alternator list from them. That's pretty gnarly.
The Psychers in every unit is really solid because there's so little counterplay against it. Like you have to run other librarians to even begin to affect it, and Psychic Hoods are not.
And we know how the loyalists feel about those. Yeah.
Right. The one thing that kind of bothers me about Thousand Suns, and the reason I find them to be contenders, is that there's an army that is just like their counter, and This Is a Silence, which just came out. So I think as we see more of those kind of allied detachments emerge on people's lists, I think the power level of the Thousand Suns goes down.
I can agree with that, but I haven't seen it yet, and I have seen Thousand Suns players running trains on other legions.
Sure.
Since the box dropped. So
it's the technical terminology.
It is.
Choo choo.
Choo choo. So where are you going to put them, Manji?
I would put them at like the top of contenders or the bottom of OP is where I'd put them. I don't think they're as oppressive as Dark Angels or Imperial Fists.
Agree.
But they can be.
And they're certainly not as oppressive.
Like if they make all their spells every game, they very much can be.
Yeah. I'll agree with you with that. You know, if they have a good game as far as rolling spells, it's going to get pretty out of hand pretty quick. Yeah. But I do think that there's some big counters out there for them in Sisters of Silence. They do have kind of a one-up on Custodes right now because there's really no counter unless you can tie in Sisters.
Well, I mean, Custodes do have the thing of like murdering them in melee, which is
sure. You walk across the table and you just punch them in the mouth.
I mean, that's we'll get that in part 2.
We'll get very subtle, Custodes. Very subtle.
Let's talk Night Lords. Let's talk the most goth live journal of Space Marines.
I can't see that. There we go. Yeah. Night Lords. Ooh,
the one that looks like an Ozzy Osbourne symbol. Yeah, there you
go. I will tell you, they have the Rite of War I hate the most is a Night Lord Rite of War.
Okay. It forces everything into night.
It forces night fighting.
Right.
I hate that so much. It's such a pain.
I love it so much because all my units and all my armies are like within 18 inches, so I don't care. But go on.
I mean, playing against them with ultras, it's really difficult.
Yeah.
They have a lot of morale manipulation. Their outnumber bonus is very, very easy to trigger.
Yeah.
They get the most out of the telepathy librarian spam, which is a very big thing right now. It's pretty trivial to like pin an enemy unit, and then, oh boy, all the Night Lord stuff turns on. Yeah. Sevatar is a like Sigismund Corswain tier character,
right? Right.
Who also brings a troops Terminator squad if you'd like.
He's bananas.
And you got Conrad who can be like in the middle of a fight, just like, I did 5 wounds to you, I am the knight, and then just disappear.
Kurz is like I would say like a mid-tier Primarch.
I mean,
but he's backed up by a very good Legion.
Right. His Legion definitely kind of supports him.
Also, fun fact, they're one of the Legions that get a super bonus out of running vehicle squadrons.
That's right.
The outnumber bonus applies to shooting, and vehicles count as 10. So you bring 2 Predators, and suddenly you're rooting a lot of guys on.
Exactly. I think because of how good the Armored Spear tip is right now, they're definitely easily put in that contender bracket.
Yeah.
I mean, I think maybe them, Imperial Fists, and Iron Warriors probably take best advantage of it. Maybe Death Guard. But, I mean, they are definitely probably the best Armored Spear tip list.
One of the best, certainly. They also have a lot of really strong Terminators. They're like... they're an army where I feel like Your Primarch isn't going to make your list, but everything else you have does the lifting.
I mean, you can show up with just Sevatar and like Terminators, or you can do,
the jump pack army with jump librarians is real scary.
No,
jump
thank you.
Librarians. There you go. You're your first vote. Jump librarian.
So if you want to play some blue boys with lightning bolts,
Yeah, that's actually like the thing with Lord of them is you have to paint the lightning bolts, and not a lot of people want to sign up to do that.
I would also say the other one is that nobody wants to just explain why there's a corpse strapped to their Leviathan, like if they're a nice person.
No, that's a loyalist Leviathan. It's fine.
That's a traitor we got up there.
As an enthusiastic scumbag for corpses on the vehicles.
Yeah, Night Lord's definitely one of the better ones.
Yeah.
You talked about Death Guard. Let's talk Death Guard.
Let's talk Death Guard.
Dan's
I love Death Guard.
new army.
Dan's newish army.
Newish. We'll see.
I'm gonna initially place them at average. I think they have some neat tricks.
They're supremely average. They have like it's weird. Like they're like mathematically average to the game. Like as if that was the
thing
goal.
that is exceptional is they can move vehicles flat out and still fire everything at regular bullets.
That's
so weird.
The most OP maneuver you've ever seen. Like, hey, your vehicle's immobilized.
I mean, I really do like the creeping death rite of war. Basically, you're like laying out dangerous terrain all over the battlefield, and it creates these like choke points and hazards that someone has to work around. The downside being that you do have to play a traitor version of your army, and for some people that's like a no-go. I don't think they're loyalists. I think it's called the reaping. That's not as great.
The power sides are pretty cool.
They're cool, but they're
definitely not tyrannic greatswords.
There's a reason
they can't all be tyrannic greatswords.
If everybody had tyrannic greatswords.
The
great equalizer.
Mortarion and Kalis Typhon are they're all right. I don't think they're like super stand out to me. No. Mortarion's weird teleport is hilarious.
Yeah, that is bizarre. Like
I don't understand. Like
or his like weapon skill being super high.
Oh yeah,
that's because he's got that. Well, his Reaper is dumb. Like he doesn't have a normal power scythe.
No, I mean
and his gun isn't the worst either.
No, Lantern is really good.
Lantern's really good.
But I think Death Guard are definitely an army that are bolstered by really strong Legion trait, a really strong reaction.
Yeah.
But the Legion-specific units do leave a fair bit to be desired.
Right. I kind of see if they kind of fall into that Raven Guard theme.
The Death Shroud are pretty spicy, but they have a very odd way of like.
There was also a brief period where the 4 gold Death Shroud were cheaper than the 40k Death Shroud.
Yeah.
You get boxes of 5 versus boxes of 3.
Right.
And the box of 5 is like the same price. It was great.
Nice. I would say the Death Shroud aren't too bad. They're pretty decent bodyguard until, Mortarion makes his weird shadowy teleport maneuver. And there's a reason we're traitors. You're on your own.
Also, the advanced reaction for them is like, it's okay. It's
the advanced reaction isn't that great. And their Alchem Flamers, while fluffy as all fluff can
hilarious,
are pretty useless when you get anything past the hand or a normal flamer.
I really wanted there to be something that took advantage of those Alchem flamers, whether it was like a Rite of War or a character that you could use them to like bolster them or make them like bigger range.
The way that you take advantage of the Alchem Flamers, and there's only, to my mind, I've thought about it. There's really only one way to do it, and it's like a 20-man elite assault squad.
Oh god!
Because you can put hand flamers on them, and then it's not like a charge bonus to make them all Alchem hand flamers. So you have a jump blob of double template wounds on 2 hand flamers.
I just don't want to be there for when you have to like drop those templates out and like quantify how many are going to be on a unit.
I get that. Yeah, templates are
that's 160 wounds. Good luck.
Seriously, who else gets to have that sweet moment in the sun?
Yeah, I would definitely put Death Guard at average. Let's talk about some casual tier. I'm going to put Iron Hands in casual tier.
Ooh, Iron Hands in casual tier.
They're really strong. They're just not.
Iron Hands have a top 3 Primarch.
Absolutely.
Famous.
Yeah, that
he's a walking Contemptor with ridiculous stats.
Yeah. He's what if Contemptor Dreadnought, but also Primarch. You've got
looks like friend. Why not friend?
What I think are some really strong Legion traits, but the Gorgon Terminators are not good.
Why is it for you that Gorgon Terminators are hot garbage?
They don't get the same weapon loadouts as Indomitus, so they can't take like Thunderhammer, Storm Shield, and they're not weapon skill 5.
How resilient are they?
They're Indomitus Terminators.
Do they have line? They don't have line, do they? So they can't score an objective.
No. And I think their big thing is that they can
basically blind
flash somebody and they like blind them.
But blind applies at the end of the combat round, but it doesn't help them survive.
Doesn't help them at all.
So like
we kill them. I can't see.
Yeah, it's
you got it.
The Immortals are a really cool unit. I have seen the most like dope conversions are Iron Hand Immortals that I've seen.
Agree. It has a lot of mechanicum bits on them.
Mechanicum bits,
right?
Mechanic
tanks they get it will not die on vehicles is really good,
right?
And the -1 strength against shooting is incredibly powerful as a trait. So they're really hard to kill, but then they like do things to you, and you're like, all right, that's fine.
Well,
and then you charge them, and they die.
Right? Yeah.
The fact that melee is so powerful right now, and they don't really have a good answer that isn't Ferrus Manus, holds them back.
You know, when all of your Terminators run away and like Ferrus is left there, you kind of get what
happened on the stand. When your Primarch gets cut down by the sissy boy.
By Fulgrim, true.
Well, I mean, I think that means we've got to go to Emperor's Children next.
Indeed.
All right.
Indeed.
I like them as...
I like them for noise range.
I like them as average. They have a phenomenal reaction, but their Primarch is middling. Though I do think they have some cool units, especially the Sun Killers.
They have a lot of really cool units. The Sun Killers are you're going to spend like 800 points to delete however many units you want to every shooting phase.
Pretty much, yeah.
They have really powerful melee. The initiative bonus is a big deal.
Right.
But Emperor's one of those armies where I feel like it doesn't really cohere together. Like
has the synergy issues that like Sons of Horus have.
Yeah. You can definitely build a very strong Terminator list out of them. They're one of the legions that can actually split Loyalist and Traitor fairly well because the named characters aren't great.
Right.
Saul Tarvitz is not that much worse than like Eidolon. So
as a fan of Saul Tarvitz, I was sad that he's such a punk in the in the rules, but sometimes we get that.
Saul.
But yeah, I think they're solid, but there's not anything that says to me like, oh, I'm going to be really scared of this thing.
I would say the Sun Killers fill that role, especially for me as a Custodes player. It's just like, oh, delete all your shit. So that kind of sucks. The Rite of Wars are Company Elite, and the Maru Skara. Nothing really kind of...
How about that Cacophony, though?
They're all right. I'm not that scared of any Cacophony list. Like, the problem is they're really short range. And what else is short range?
Martyrs.
Knights Cenobium. Phalanx Warders. Like all these things that sort of casually delete them.
So you're saying that they don't stack up?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we'll leave them at
bottom of average is where I'd put them.
Bottom of average.
Yeah. Definitely bottom. It is the Emperor's Children.
Let's go to World Eaters. I like World Eaters. I'm gonna put them as contenders.
They're average, 100%.
100% average?
100%.
See, I think against other legions, they're strong.
What is the thing they have that's scary?
The fact Angron, the fact that they want to like run across the field and smash your face, and they do it pretty well against other legions.
I see. If they get in, which is a very big if, they have like the Rampagers who are all right, and you can give them jump packs, which is better. But if you give them jump packs, they can't stick with Karn or Angron.
Okay.
The Red Butchers are hot garbage.
I was going to say, you're talking about the Legion with the worst Terminator, like the worst fluff Terminator in the game right now.
They lost a Feel No Pain for some reason. I'm baffled as to what was done to the Red Butchers. They were not good in first edition.
They have the best.
And they got
Reds.
worse.
You gotta like a unit whose fluff rule is we hit you on 3s and you hit us on 3s.
like
we hit you back on 3s.
We're too stupid to defend ourselves. Please pop a Custodes player. We're also weapon skill 5, so you get your Nemesis bonus. You're hitting before us because we can only take unwieldy weapons. Like it's just bad. I really struggle with that unit.
They went from Red Butcher to Swedish Chef real fast.
It's the kits are great. Modeling them is wonderful. Like they're an incredible
thematically very cool.
Yeah, but they just fall apart. The reaction, I'm very 50-50 on it. There's games that I have not used it.
Savage Tide.
Yeah. Their warlord traits are very solid. Angron is one of the better Primarchs, but his warlord trait totally hoses you.
Where he can only where he has to challenge if he can.
No. His warlord trait is you get 3 reactions in the movement phase, and they must all be to advance. So there are times you do not want to advance, and Angron says no. No, we real dumb out here today, guys. I guess. All right, Angron. I guess we're real dumb out here today.
What's that CSI meme? Enhance.
Heavy sports squad. No, we're gonna run these dudes up. Like it's
right. I mean, I'm not saying it's like a finesse army where it's a calculated game of chess. This is definitely marbles or checkers or pickup sticks.
No. The other problem is playing that Angron just walks over and like kicks the board off and like
give me your lunch money, nerd.
Right. Like he's. The reason I struggle is that they're a melee legion with no real strong weapon skill 5 melee unit.
Okay.
So what you're saying is the only way to finesse them across the battlefield involves a mastodon.
I mean, like
a whole bunch of transports.
You're basically betting on yeeting a bunch of dudes into a fight they can't win. They're going to get a bunch of attacks that hit on 5s.
But I really like their Contemptors for them are so good. The Leviathans for them are so good.
Does Karn suck? I haven't seen the rules on Karn.
Karn is very mid.
Oh, yeah, he's not great.
Oh, Karn is in the mids.
He's only good if you don't take Angron.
Well, okay. All right, Karn, you're out. Sorry for the vote.
Because his gimmick is he gets Angron's axe, and he has Angron's axe. He has Angron's axes in melee, which is pretty dope. But then if he doesn't have it, he has like an AP3 melee attack, which is very bad. So
real good for a character.
I would give them average. You're right about the Contemptors. They do run like the scariest Fury of the Ancients is World Eaters Fury of the Ancients.
Well, that's why I put them as Contemptors. Or sorry, Contenders.
Contemptors. Asterisk.
But to me, like a single unit does not bring them up that much.
True. I mean, you are right. The lack of a weapon skill 5 unit for them is kind of like for the close combat specialists. I guess they're just close combat horde.
I also think it's buck wild. They can't run and charge. That makes no sense to me at all. Like,
but you know who can?
Who can is Space Wolves.
Let's talk about
contenders.
Let's talk about them almost OP contenders.
Right.
I would definitely put these guys like under White Scars. They are really strong. They have an amazing Legion trait.
Yeah.
They have a reaction that is the World Eaters reaction, but strictly better.
Yes.
Far more loyalist.
And the fact that it happens, I think, during the movement phase, where if they move closer to you, then you can
you have decided to move within 12 of a Space Wolf unit.
Oh, that was a mistake. So they're trying to bait those out.
As I found out the unfun way,
right? They have excellent
double CC Contemptors, real scary.
Yeah, they also have excellent
double CC Contemptors who are running and charging.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they have those too.
Here's this 13-inch dude, +1 to my charge roll, like
+2
I'm
attacks.
snapshotting my bolters.
Right.
+2 attacks.
They're emotional support bolt guns in the Space Wolves.
Emotional support bolt gun.
When I've played them in the past, it's actually not worth. It's not worth like shooting them because you'll just get reacted against. It's actually better to just like we're gonna put those bolters away. No more bolters for right now until you hit close combat.
They have 3 alternate troop choices. They're the only Legion to get 3 alt troops who are line.
That's true.
Which is
they do have the fluff line. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. They have they're really strong in melee. The important thing to me is that unlike World Eaters, they have the maneuverability to reliably get there.
True.
Like the entire Space Wolf line is gonna hit you on turn 2.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I've missed a charge on their minimum turn, max turn 3.
The Varagir Terminators aren't fantastic.
They aren't.
The Deathsworn are hilarious.
Yes, they are.
I love the Deathsworn a whole bunch. I think they're a legion. We talked about Imperial Fists and Dark Angels. Like, you can't go wrong. Wolves are an army where I feel like you basically can't go wrong.
As long as, what was it, the ABCs? Ryan trying to
always be charged.
Always be charged.
Yeah. It's a legion that's like, we're going to get in melee with you. We're going to get in melee with you all the time. You're the one who has to deal with that.
I think I would like your face better on a pike.
Right.
And some guys who canonically beat the hell out of the Space Wolves. Let's talk Alpha Legion.
Ooh.
Oh, Alpha Legion.
The weirdly...
So what's that reaction for Alpha Legion? They're contenders, by the way, 100%.
You can...
No, they're way contenders, dude.
So one, they get to run Fulmintaris Terminators.
If they want.
True.
They have the most Shroud Bombs of any Legion, and that is the most annoying piece of war gear in the game.
Oh, the fact that like when you're toe to toe, you're still making like a 5 or 6 inch charge.
8-inch charge.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, because the Alpha Legion, bro.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay,
you end your model, you can't end closer than an inch. So the shortest range charge you can make against Alpha Legion is a 9-inch charge.
Ouch.
What?
Shroud Bombs, which the
and a Legion
Headhunters
trait,
have,
right?
And they have like another infantry unit that gets Shroud Bombs.
Of course they do.
And then the Legion trait adds 2 inches.
And let's not forget a conversion beam cannon on your Terminators, just cause.
They're one of those legions that does not strike out immediately as these guys are insane.
Until you see somebody that knows how to use them, and then you're
true.
like, wow, that's sheer insanity. Are you
Yeah.
making up rules, sir? No, it's right here in the book. I just show up where I want.
The fact that they can like customize their list by taking anyone else's special Terminators, they still have their own special Terminators who I think infiltrate.
With a conversion beam cannon, which is like the most bizarro.
Yeah.
But no one wants to be like, no one's like, I'm going to infiltrate closer to use conversion.
Exactly. That's why it's the most bizarro.
It's like, put me 48 inches across the table. I'm going to drop.
I'm going to infiltrate your back passage so I get 22
I love that
inches
it's actually
on
hard to
conversion
score Slay the Warlord against them.
Oh yeah, because they pop up elsewhere.
Yeah. I am Alfarius. No, I mean,
yeah.
they're one of those legions that you're not going to see a lot of because they're difficult to model.
They are not.
They're difficult to paint.
They
Everybody's
are
scared of that paint job.
What?
But the versatility they have, like Alpha Legion, I hate saying this, Alpha Legion are like a better version of what Ultramarines want to be.
Sounds like somebody's making Alpha Legion next year.
Also, they're a legion that gets the best snipers, and snipers are real good right now.
They are real spicy. I mean, the ability to just like take out a apothecary or like a,
Well, they
master
can't take
signals.
the Vindicare, so I'd like you to rescind that statement. Don't they have to be traitor? Are there loyalist Alpha Legions? Okay,
There's loyalist.
Okay. I retract my
They're
statement.
always loyalist, depending on who you ask.
Oh, that's
Right,
right.
yeah.
That's
All right. Next up, we're hitting the bottom of the barrel here. Let's go. The real bottom of the barrel, word bearers.
Word bearers are bottom of the
Really?
barrel to you?
There's
Oh, no.
still salamanders left.
Oh no, I mean like canonically they're bottom of the barrel.
Oh.
Mechanically, word bearers are amazing.
They are. I'm going to put them in contenders. I think they're super, super, super strong. Not because of their Primarch. He's garbage.
Yeah.
But
They're a rare legion where none of the named characters add that much, but the
Right.
rest of the army is so good.
so good. Galvorback, obviously, are amazing.
Teleporting Marigal dreadnoughts are a thing.
Yeah.
Do you want a contemptor, but even more dumb? They've got it.
Right, because it shows up next to you and then
Right.
hits you in the face.
They have plasma that doesn't get hot, which
Right.
is super good.
yeah.
They're actually one of the legions who can answer custodes because of that.
Right, they do have the plasma troops. Basically.
Well, Interrupters have plasma flame that
Right, but
on
I mean,
template that doesn't get hot.
but they have plasma cannons and plasma
Right.
guns that don't get hot.
They just magically don't get hot?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, they're warp fire.
Oh, those.
Yeah.
because they're magic.
They lose a strength, and that's it.
Because we prayed to chaos real hard. This one ain't going to hurt you.
They're real strong. The Diabolist is a very strong option. Their psychic legions are very strong.
Mhm.
They are the second most psychic legion.
I'd also say they tend to get I think they will get better over time as the demons.
Yeah,
book
as
is
we get
released.
Demons of the Rainstorm, yeah, for
because
sure.
you're going to be able to start opening demon portals and stuff to add
But
those
to offset
your
all
army.
that, Lorgar. Hot trash, right?
Actually, no. Lorgar, I would say, is a better support Primarch than most for
Right.
2 reasons. One, he's psychic. Again, anytime you have a mechanic that nobody else can answer, it's pretty good. I'm specifically empowered Lorgar I'm talking about here. Base Lorgar is not fantastic, but he's also very cheap. I think he's the only one you can run at 2,000 is unaugmented Lorgar.
Yeah.
But empowered Lorgar I think is quite strong. Zardu Layak and the Blade Slaves also very good. You know the what are they called? The guys with the axe rakes.
That right today. Sorry, you got that.
The jump pack word bearer squad. Ashen Circle, yeah. They are.
Nick, we're just podcasting. Come over here and drop your voice.
They are. Word bearers do suffer from having like a weapon skill 5 big smashy melee unit. Like there's not like a word bearer Terminator brick that's super exciting.
They got Galvor back that you have to send that guy after, or otherwise you're gonna.
Well, I mean they have Galvor back and they have the Marigal, and those are significant challenges. And the Ashen Circle are one of the more interesting jump troops. To me, like the definition of OP is like everything you have is good, and you have some stuff that's egregious. Word bearers fall in the everything you have is good, but nothing strikes me as super egregious.
Ashen Circle Squad, 125 points. They're jump infantry, pretty gnarly, honestly.
Mm-hmm. They're weapon skill 4 though, right?
They are.
Yeah.
Jump at them, Cenobium.
I think sticking with the theme of jump troops, Blood Angels.
Oh God. Oof. I like them in average. They have amazing looking units. They're very, very cool.
Close to the top of average, I would say.
Oh yeah. I think that they're so mobile, and they hit so hard when they land. They can alpha strike pretty well.
I would say they're one of those armies that has that list and then the rest of the army.
Basically, yeah.
I think they have really strong Terminators. They have really strong jump troops. Sanguinius is very good. Bralderon is very good. They have I like
the Paladins too, which are great.
Yeah. I like them because they are an extremely mobile jump army, and that plus to wound from the Legion trait gives them play into a lot of different things. Like
you can definitely, explore some different directions of your army because of that trait.
Being able to wound Contemptors on 5s or being able to wound Contemptors on 2s with a Strength 8 weapon. Yeah. Like they're one of the legions that can fight things like Custodes or Dreadnought spam and really go a long way.
Yeah.
But I do agree they lack like maybe it's the synergy, maybe it's like just a really powerful rite of war. There's not like a single thing that makes you go, these guys are gonna like crush everyone they see.
I mean, as far as special units they have, of course, Sanguinius. You also have the Dawnbreaker cohort, which is pretty crazy too. Weapon skill 5, 2 up saves, leadership 8/9. 2 wounds apiece. They're kind of a jump unit.
Where's the Terminators in there?
They're called Paladins, Crimson Paladins, and they are great. Weapon skill 5, 2 up save, 4 up invuln. There's 5 invuln.
They have storm shields.
Oh shit! Do they have storm shields? Man.
Mm-hmm.
For 100,
even better.
For 145 points, you get 5 dudes with storm shields.
3 dudes with storm shields.
Oh, that's why they suck. They come in blocks of 3.
They do.
Well, it's 3 to 10, I believe, is the squad, but they're one of the better Legion Terminators, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
The Deep Strike support Blood Angels have is also really spicy. Day of Revelation is one of those lists that if you're not ready for it, it will just burn everything you have.
Right. I would say the only downside to Blood Angels is they don't really, they're not utilizing kind of the top rights of war, being Fear the Ancients or Spear Tip. But I guess they can, or Pride. They can go in pretty well with Sanguinius and have a.
Don't their Contemptors get assault cannons?
Yes. And they can run the Ball Predator, which is fun.
Yeah, it's very thematic.
I super dig that. So bottom, or I shouldn't say bottom tier because they won't be the bottom, but they might be. We got. Let's kick it off with Salamanders, just because I want them to be
Salamanders. Last. Oh, we're not last. We still have Iron.
Yeah, I don't want Salamanders to be last. Is what I was saying.
Okay. Oh, I'm going to put them in kind of a casual. I know that you have other feelings on this. My thinking being that overall they don't have a whole lot going for them as far as like mechanics that synergize well, and they don't really have amazing Legion only units that can kind of push them towards the top.
I think the Legion trait pigeonholes them more than other Legion traits.
Okay.
Vulcan is one of 2 Primarchs with a brutal melee weapon.
Vulcan real resilient. Vulcan real dirty. Vulcan have to get there, and that's the problem.
Yeah. Most games I've seen with Vulcan, it's been him and the Fire Drakes, the Terminators. in a Spartan. The Spartan gets immobilized or blown up, and they're like walking across the battlefield.
We'll
real
see
sad.
in 2 to 5 turns.
Yeah, it's certainly not great for them. I like the rules for the Salamanders. I think mechanically they do stuff you want Salamanders units to do.
Right.
I like the emphasis on Flamer and Melta weapons, but I think like move reactions limit the utility of those weapons a whole lot.
Yeah.
And the Legion trait does not do enough to kind of make up for that. The reaction's all right, but their Terminators are very good. They have pretty great Warlord traits. They have pretty good war gear. I would agree pretty firmly with Casual. I don't think they're at the bottom. I don't think they're in our fabled dumpster fire.
I would like to point out they are one of the more standout armies to paint. I don't know if that affects exactly. It's not going to affect the like power listing. Or power
it's a more rare army to see for sure.
Absolutely. But it is definitely one of the ones that I enjoy seeing the most because, true Salamanders players go all out when it comes to modeling these units up. So you get all the dragon helms, and you get cloaks and scales. And
the Mark 6 heads they got are really cool.
Yeah, that is true. And they have a lot of theme abilities, I guess what I'd call it.
Yeah.
And last and certainly least, I'm going to drop these guys into contender.
No way.
The Imperium's incels? Yeah, bro.
Ah, cringe.
Come on. Give me. What do they have that's like that good?
An all template list.
Everyone can do an all template list.
I mean, like they can.
I mean, they don't have like Iron Fire is not in the game anymore. It's gone.
Right. It is different now.
You don't run the like here's my basilisks and medusas .army. You run like here's some big robots and some siege terminators.
I mean the
and oh god, you charged me.
I don't think a Domitar is dumb OP, or else like Mechanicum would be far better than they are.
Like every battle report or every time I've seen the Domitar get on the field, you know what's left at the end of the battle? 3 Domitar and 2 Primarchs. Don't tell me they're not that stupid.
And the Domitar are always going to lose to whatever other Primarchs on the field.
Yeah, and then Perturabo sneaks in with Ferrus Manus' hammer that he borrowed from somewhere, and just,
It's not brutal, though, on him.
It is brutal. It's unwieldy on Perturabo, which is
even better.
Significantly worse. And, he could not take the hammer.
Sure.
Who's not going to take the hammer on it?
You want to discount Primarch? I don't know.
How about this? Even in the PDF list, if we're talking PDFs, he's still the only Primarch besides Jagatai with a custom chariot.
A custom chariot.
Let's speak of this custom chariot.
No, he's not.
The Bane. Who else has one?
Dorn.
Dorn has the Thunderhawk.
Oh, that's right. Well, that's
the best
not...
chariot.
Oh, come on.
That's a...
All right. So let's say we drop them in average. They do have some things going for them. Their Rite of Wars are pretty good, especially if you have a template-heavy list.
They're exceptionally good against Armored Spearhead and Fury of the Ancients.
They're especially good at fielding both of those, too, because all their weapons are...
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can take the Shrapnel Bolters are, I think, fairly solid options.
I mean, the whole army gets shred without paying points.
They get pinning.
Is it pinning? I thought it was shred.
And it's not rerolling wounds.
And it costs range.
Right. So you have to move from 24 to 18.
Yeah, it's 6 inches off of every gun you give it to, which hurts because they don't have a strong melee counterpunch.
Right.
They have the big robots.
They have no melee. You're absolutely right.
And big robots are good at not dying.
And they have the 4th best Terminator. Siege Tyrants are pretty damn good.
They're okay. They're great at range. They're not great in close combat.
Well, yeah, but we just said the whole army sucks at close combat, except Domitars and Pert.
Right.
I mean, to me, one of the things that lowers them is that you have to take the robots in the army.
Yeah.
Because your regular Marines, let's say you're running against like one of our other sort of mid-tier armies like Ultramarines. Ultramarines have a bunch of ad initiative AP2 units. Like there's 2 units that do that, and they're a mid-tier army.
Yeah.
Like your as Iron Warriors is death. Like you just die.
You just die. I suppose so. I do really like their ability to shorten up those kind of drifts on template weapons, which is great. I like the fact they become dangerous terrain when you leave the templates down there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they have the ability to control a battlefield better than most legions, except for maybe Death Guard over here. But I could see where you could see them as average.
Yeah.
They don't really synergize very well with their Legion trait. Granted, their Legion trait is pretty generic.
Yeah.
+1 strength on
and the Legion trait
shooting vehicles or automata or dreadnoughts is pretty scary.
Right. And the Legion trait being
Especially
good
the
against
mechanic,
like 2 out of 3 of the big lists right now is solid. But I think they struggle from not having an answer to things like custodes.
Right.
Which we'll get to in part 2.
Which we'll get to in part 2. So anyways, guys, that is going to wrap up our meta kind of
Current meta.
If you think we're wrong, put the comments down there so that I can tell you you're wrong.
Ouch!
So
Fighting
Manji
words
will
with
be.
the internet,
I will
Monj.
personally
All right, yeah,
disagree
pick a fight
with the
internet
internet
here.
here.
Look here, internet, you're going down.
Right. Manji does send mail, so you'll get a picture of him.
Hand-lettered envelope.
That's right. Giving the fingers and telling you you're wrong. It'll have a date and a name. It's gonna be great. Can't wait. But as he said, if you disagree with us, tell us why in the comments. We'd love to have that discussion with you. And that is it for the basement
Part
here
1.
at Bowls. This is again part 1, so stay tuned when we cover all these spicy armies down here.
The Exoticus.
Exactly. So we will see you next time from the Bowls basement. I'm Ryan.
I'm Manji.
I'm Dan.
And we're out.
Deuces.